Stronos looked back to the Yarg cage. Angered, the Yarg had unfolded from its hunch. It wound back its arms as if to strike. Then, with a roar, it lunged with its entire body. The boy scrambled to get out of the way, the brushing contact with the beast still enough to fling him across the cage. The Yarg slammed into the bars where the boy had been, then sat back down to pick up the staff he had dropped and scratch its gums with it. Behind it, the boy picked himself up, giving no indication of the broken ribs Stronos could see he was carrying. Such a waste. Manpower was a resource like any other, and the whole bloody affair struck him as pointless. Perhaps this was the real reason he stayed away.
"Would you like to know how I would fight such a beast?"
he said to the old man.
"Lord, I would."
"The pistol. I would shoot the beast in the eyes before entering the cage, and then wait for it to bleed."
The old man looked up at Stronos, as though waiting on the explanation of the joke.
"But, Lord, the honor of the—"
"Honorable men are beloved of those who make medals, and those who dig holes in the ground for the dead."
Stronos turned to leave. He had seen as much as he cared to.
"My condolences for your nephew."
The Imperium of Man is beset by untold foes which span the length and breadth of the galaxy. Horrific abominations which require nothing short of total annihilation. It is no wonder that many of humanity's most stalwart defenders must weigh the fell scales of death to achieve victory, often at the cost of their reputation. For today, we shall elucidate the unorthodox war leader of the Iron Hands, Cardan Stronos. Originally a member of clans Dorvak and Vergan during his first near century of service to his chapter, the young Astartes, by the standards of the Iron Tenth, humbly assumed the rank of 10th Sergeant with his appointment to his new clan, Garsak. A veteran of many battles fought against the Xenos of the Tau Empire, Stronos had studied the tome detailing the early life of Ferrus Manus, the Canticle of Travels, seeking to learn from his long-slain Primarch of legend. Replacing his binaric ident codes and brands to mark his new clan of Garsak, aboard the cruiser the Aloyd, Stronos assimilated his senses into his new clade as a new symbol was added to his forge chain. Closer than typical brethren of other Astartes creeds, Clade Stronos could share private Vox channels, battle readiness, and even peer through one another's eyes, using inload-exload data streams. Deployed as his first campaign as 10th Sergeant on the world of Fenos, this thrall world within the domains of the Iron Hands had incited insurrection against their masters. Unwilling to allow word of the traitor Skitaris' rebellion to escape the territories of the Medusan system, the Iron Council awoke an ancient venerable dreadnought to oversee the campaign, Iron Father Tubric Ares. As Iron Captain Dravak led his men to a foothold upon the surface of Fenos, the 8,500-year-old dreadnought embarked to meet with his forces as Clade Stronos pushed to assault the port of Amadeus. Diverted from their primary objective by intel gleaned from Logi Legatus Nico Palpus, Stronos ordered his men to investigate a restricted access facility, which was said to house three invaluable Castellan battle robots. Cardan's rebellious quirk to think independently rather than as a cog in the machine, though earning the ire of Dravak, regardless allowed Clade Stronos to finish their search before supporting their captain's advance from their position. Finding no trace of the Castellans, Clade Stronos joined forces with their kinsmen as the main city of Fenos fell. The reason for the traitor Skitaris' defection, as of yet, unknown. As the Iron Hands resupplied and fortified their position, Stronos tended to among his only possessions, a defective Thunderfire cannon, its firing mechanism having jammed during his prior campaigns against the Tau. By order of Iron Father Veros, Cardan for decades had meticulously tended to repairing the weapon to no avail. The impossible task acting as a form of meditation and lesson that some machine spirits are too stubborn to comply. Reflecting on the loss of lives caused by his actions, such as the 30,000 Skillian guardsmen used as cannon fodder during the War of Vergos VI, millions of souls who perished on Culedinus Sept, and firing squads formed to cull the already surrendered rebels of Skeptica Maxis. Troubled by his chapter's rigid adherence to the calculus of battle, Cardan wrestled with his conscience as ideals of a better future for the chapter began to bloom. For such contrarian ideals would soon be bolstered, with Iron Father Ares' orders to bid Stronos meet him within the Clan Garsa Clancrawler. Rule of One. Meeting with the assembled senior commanders of the campaign within the Hall of Audiences, including his former captain, Verox, Cardan, Stronos and his brethren kneeled before the long-slumbered dreadnought. Said to have fought during the days of the Great Scouring against the traitors, Iron Father Ares, after 900 years of dormancy, had awoken to find his chapter in a state of weakness. Singling out Stronos as the only sergeant among captains and Iron Fathers, in Cardan, the venerable dreadnought saw a spark of recognition to his chapter of old. Asking for his tactical assessment, Ares listened to Stronos' plans to deploy scouts to clear Fenos' outposts and root out ambushers. His proposal cut short as the Landcrawler sustained fire from the rebels. Demanding that he personally fight upon the surface of Fenos to ensure swift destruction of its rebellion, as the Rule of One mobilized to the front lines, Ares ordered that Stronos must join him to convene with the Iron Council of Medusa. En route to the homeworld of Ferrus Manus, Cardan and Stronos began to form a bond of friendship with the quizzical engine seer Meladan Iolanes. His uncharacteristic kindness and dry wit for a son of the Gorgon surprising the promising tech savant. Disembarking within the Medusan Felgafi Mountains to convene with the Iron Council, within the vault known as the Eye of Medusa, Stronos met with a long-distant friend, Epistolary Lydric. Seconded to serve within the Death Watch, the librarian spoke with Cardan as they observed an iron-glass mural of the legendary Astartes, Sabik Wayland, and Nicona Sharokin. Revealing his presence not to be mere coincidence, Lydric at the side of his Death Watch kin, the Space Wolf, Ymir, and Death Spectre captain, Harsid, had traveled to the Medusan system to verify rumors of a secret Xenos weapons testing facility upon Fenos. Asking Stronos to forward any knowledge of such a facility to Inquisitor Talala Yazir of the Ordo Xenos, should details be forthcoming within the Iron Council meeting, Cardan, despite viewing Lydric as possibly his only true friend, could not risk sharing the secrets of his chapter. Entering the Iron Council chamber by escort of a Hellfather Guardian, Stronos beheld in its center the suspended relic, the Axe of Medusa, as the councilmen linked their minds together. Witnessing the late arrival of the infamous Iron Father of Clan Raukan, Christos, to the meeting, Cardan surmised that Iron Hands could only be late intentionally to sow discord. The leader of the so-called Christosian Creed, infamous following his persecution made of the Eldar upon the world of Dawnbreak. Voting on the escalation of the Purge of Fenos, though 20 councilmen including Ares voted in favor, 22 detractors, spurred by Christos and the Mechanicus voice of Mars, carried the day. Voicing his displeasure with the Iron Council, Cardan Stronos piqued the interest of Christos, yet as the council disbanded to return to their duties of trade and logistical oversight, Ares bid Stronos to join him. Entering an ancient Simulus chamber, used only by the most senior of Iron Hands, Ares showed Stronos a simulacrum of Christos' actions during the Columnus campaign. Viewed from the perspective of Shadow Captain Orvid Stern, Stronos watched as Christos and his men allowed the Raven Guard to be sacrificed fighting the Orcs, as they slowly positioned to achieve optimal kill zones at Stern's expense. Slaying the war boss, Zagdraka, Christos coldly ignored the curses spat by Stern as he died, the experience leaving Stronos horrified at the callous waste of lives of his cousin Astartes, wrought by the cold logic of the calculus of war. Returning with Ares to Fenos, with no aid from the other clans, Cardan resumed his role as leader of Clade Stronos. As Ares tore through the traitor Skitarii, with might befitting such a hulking Goliath, his time spent within the Simulus chamber had nonetheless inflicted its deadly flaw. Subsumed with the memory of his previous battle against the demon of Slanesh, the Sapphire King, Ares stormed into the fray, ordering his subordinates to join him in glorious battle against his nemesis. Code-walling Ares' broadcasts to prevent further miscommunication, the Iron Hands now isolated into clades, lost their advantage against the unified Skitarii. With no chain of command to take control, Stronos petitioned Engineer Yolanis to retrieve Ares' command protocols in order to rally his brethren, her successful objective allowing Ares to confer Stronos with the rank of Iron Captain as his mind fell further into mania. Connecting with Clade Jalingal, who believed Stronos to have perished in the fighting, the two clades joined forces as the remaining 20 demi-clades refused to adhere to Stronos' hails. Supporting his advance with Predator, Whirlwind, and Vindicator Tankfire, Jalingal's efforts convinced the other clades to disable their code walls and follow Stronos' commands. Forcing the Skitarii to fall back, Stronos pursued after them with his clade as he ordered the remaining Iron Hands to fortify defensive positions in front of the interdiction line. Appointing sergeants to roles most optimal of their skills, rather than seniority, the unorthodox tactics of this de facto captain regardless achieved great results. Infiltrating the facility which housed the Xenos weapons experiments, Stronos ordered Scout Arvin Ralph and his men to investigate, whilst his men drew the fire of the Imperator Titan defending its domains, the Pax Medusa. Discovering the missing Castellan robots within the facility, draped with flesh and human features, Ralph's men fell to bouts of madness as they witnessed a sermon of a malformed princeps tending to a flock of heretics. Outside the facility, the Pax Medusa fired upon Iron Father Ares, his insane charge against the Titan, folly even for a dreadnought of such lauded service. Yet as all hope of victory seemed lost, the Rule of One charged into the fray, its quake cannon firing at the Imperator Titan as the exchange of fire shook the earth. Warships of Clans Vergan, Raukan, and Garsak arrived in orbit, felling drop pods from the heavens, Warsmith Christos at their spear tip as he marched to Cardan Stronos' position. Rescinding Ares' command codes from Stronos, Captain Dravok ordered the clan monastery to disengage as Christos confronted the wayward 10th Sergeant. Accompanied by a Hellfather, Christos struck at Cardan, Stronos' bolter rounds shrugged off by Christos' Rosarius field generator as the enormous Terminator crashed into him. Killing all of Clade Stronos, save for Jalingal and Burr, the Hellfather's wrath would be interrupted, incurring a bolter round to its head, fired by the Clan Averni veteran, Draf. Demanding answers regarding the fell artifacts within the facility, Draf perished at the hands of the headless Hellfather as it fired a volley of bolter rounds into his men. Tearing Stronos' helmet from his head as the hazardous air of Fenos damaged his face and lungs, Christos, though capable of ending Cardan's life, regardless saw potential in this rebellious Astartes and promised to rebuild Stronos stronger. Cardan's life, saved by Melitan Yolanis, who shared her rebreather with him until evacuation could be achieved. The injury to his face required the replacement of his jaw, teeth and mouth with a funnel-like vox emitter. Yet Stronos' replacement of the flesh had merely begun, and soon his path to ascend to the ranks of the Iron Council would begin. Sent to the Forge World of Mars to begin his 30-year training to become a Tech Marine of the chapter, Stronos' actions had cost him dearly and further shaken his faith in the calculus of battle. Training alongside the Knight of Dawn, Badass, Exsanguinator, Thessian, Angel Porphia, Baragiel, and Black Templar, Sigurd, this unlikely band of Astartes with time would form a bond which Stronos would come to cherish, though alien to that of his own chapter. Under the tutelage of Magos Uriel Phi, within the Skolum NL7 facility, Cardan quickly understood that his pedigree as an Iron Hand did not predestine him for greatness. Having taught countless Iron Fathers the secrets of Mars, including Christos, Uriel offered to conduct a surgery on Stronos to exceed his specialty as a Tech Marine above that of his peers. Enduring an excruciating surgery on his brain with no wish for pain suppressants, following the removal of the top of his skull, power to the facility fell, and Magos Uriel's attendant, Giel, murdered her by driving a metal suction tube into the back of her head. A servant of the Sapphire King, the menial gloated as Stronos remotely commanded the chamber servitor to grab the assailant by the neck and crush the life from him. Resecuring his skull by fixing 17 10-centimeter long screws into the bone by hand, after 15 minutes of toil, Stronos stumbled from his operating room. Locating the source of the power outage, it would not take long for his aspiring Tech Marine brethren to rally at Stronos' position. Uncovering intel that another Dawnbreak cache resided upon Mars, Cardan briefed his battle brothers on the events of Phenos and actions of Iron Father Christos. Traversing to Enel Primus to prevent further heretics being infected by the contagion of the Dawnbreak cache, with aid from the mysterious multi-headed creature recorded in Ferrus Manus' Canticles of Travel, Scolum NL7, Cardan and his ill-armed Astartes breached the facility. Reuniting with Melatan Iolanis, who had been assigned to oversee the cache due to her involvement on Phenos, the Astartes fought through waves of Skitarii and menial rebels as Stronos ventured to the heart of the contagion. Confronted by the Sapphire King, the demon born from the moment of Ferrus Manus' death, infused with emotions of betrayal and loss, flooded Stronos' mind with memories. Curling into a fetal position as tears streamed from his remaining organic eye, Stronos overcame the volatile emotional onslaught before crushing the Dawnbreak cache into pieces with his fists. The Sapphire King had been defeated this day, yet given time, Iron Father Christos would eventually succumb to its enticements, his Christosian creed undermined by the maverick master of the Forge, Malkan Feros, who in turn saw in Stronos a protege. Seeing in Cardan an exemplar of his creed, which had proven the antithesis of Iron Father Christos, Malkan Feros championed that a balance must be struck between logic and emotion. Taking Stronos under his wing and imparting him with the wisdoms he had earned over centuries of service to his chapter, with time, Cardan Stronos rose to the position of Iron Father and joined the Iron Council. Fighting as an equal to his more ancient kinsman, Stronos' reluctance to adhere to the calculus of battle pitted him once more against Iron Father Christos, the teachings of Malkan further widening the rift between the two. Fighting by the side of his cherished brother, Epistolary Lydric, for many years, Stronos fought the Emperor's children during the Gordinian heresy, and once again thwarted the schemes of the Sapphire King, who had corrupted Iron Father Christos. A third of the council slain during the campaign, and untold battle brothers turned from the path of Ferrus Manus. Following the burning of Gordinia Prime, the Iron Hands investigated Iron Father Christos' prior campaigns as a matter of chapter integrity. The Christonian conclave, conducted by the Iron Council, concluding that Christos' actions made against the Raven Guard were not of cold logic, but fueled by personal agendas and emotions. After centuries of debate, the conclave drew to a close during 460.M41, following the death of Christos, his surrender to the thrall of the ruinous powers, requiring a drastic examination of the chapter's ideals. Appointing Cardan as their elected war leader and de facto chapter master, for over 3 centuries, Stronos has served with distinction, with no cause to remove him from the position. Hateful of weakness and reverent of the machine despite his misgivings of the calculus of battle, Cardan Stronos' ruthless command is tempered with understanding that his chapter's emotions are an integral part of their function. Leading every clan company into battle, wielding the immense axe of Medusa, Stronos' leadership has seen to the destruction of the War of Dresgnod, purge of High Fleet Moloch from the Regis system, and destruction of the renegade Blood Herald's warband. Besting the World Eater Champion of Chaos, Varlag the Butcher, in single combat, despite requesting to rescind his leadership following his defeat against the Farsight Enclaves of 998.M41, the Iron Hands regardless reappointed him to the position of War Leader. Present during the War of Beasts, fighting by the side of his brethren of the Brazen Claws chapter, with every concluded campaign, Stronos answers to the Iron Council upon ceding the position of Chapter Master back to their judgment. Reappointed at every meeting with the Council, Cardan Stronos stands as the longest-serving ruler of the chapter in its recorded history, with only the Primarch himself exceeding Stronos' tenure as the Master of the Iron Tenth. His service as their elected war leader likely to be unbroken until his duty is done.
Do not think you can defeat me so easily, Cardan Stronos,
they rasped in unison.
I am no creature of flesh. Everywhere, a child of Ferrus Manus is tormented by guilt or rage, be they Medusan, Calavelan, Ralcanan, I am there. This is what you would defy.
The servitors' bio-augments made their shoulders massive, Their biceps bulged with myosin scaffolds and actin ratchets, but the meat of their foundations had rotted long ago. Strono shook them off, flesh tearing away in clumps, as their prodigious strength clattered piecemeal to the floor. Pushing through them, he advanced on the slumbering machine. For a moment, Stronos could see it, even without his eyes, and he felt it see him in return. Blue eyes as hard and ancient as precious stones drilled through the dark between them. A mane of long hair fell from a face that was at once hard and beautiful, shockingly inhuman, yet achingly empathic. His armor was faceted like a jewel, brilliant as a B-type star, draped with white-hot iron chains that spat and fizzled with the creature's core of fury. Crystalline wings folded partway over its breastplate. Its arms were folded. One hand was metal. Iron.
The Dawnbreak engine is not me.
The voice did not come from the servitors now. It came out of the darkness.
It is a skin I choose to wear, a vessel I choose to ride. You cannot break me with fists.
Stronos raised his gauntlets. His vision reigned with sapphire after images.
Then I shall begin with your skin.
This has been a tale of the Great Imperium of Man, read by the Remembrancer. The promise of being a cog in the machine is to eschew responsibility in exchange for comfort. Being unburdened of choice whilst enticing, regardless, comes at great cost. For those who relinquish their right to free choice have no right to complain on their outcomes. Should you perceive flaws in the system you contribute to, it is up to you to address them. For you are likely not the first to see them, but maybe the first to act. The path to improvement is never easy, and is fraught with peril. Yet should you stay silent, only stagnation, decay, and apathy shall remain.